The curse of Tony Mowbray continues. The former Boro captain, manager, but he still is a legend, continues to get one over at his former club with a 2-1 win yesterday over the Boro. And Mowbray now has 8 wins, 5 draws and 5 defeats against the Boro. And I'm here with Boro fan Dana Malt and Matt to discuss it. Guys, you and Tom went to the game yesterday and you're all feeling crap. And under the weather, so I mean, it's just the curse of Blackburn. I'm going to say. Luckily, I didn't go, but we did score. So there you go. You see something more that I can in Borough games at Blackburn. But how are you feeling? How was your day out at Blackburn yesterday?
It was shite. It was shite. Yeah, you know what, Jonny? I think you're going to have to drag me to Ewood Park next season if we play Blackburn, because respectfully, I think I'm done. And I've seen Boro win at that ground before. 2 good wins, actually. Season before last and then under Michael Carrick. But there's just something about the disappointment at Ewood Park that is a little bit more than the usual. And I think it's because we take like 6,000-7,000 fans there. It's one of the away ends in the Championship where you can completely fill it. And so there's rise in expectation and hope, and Boro disappointing the masses is quite something, isn't it? And yeah, it's not the first time I've been disappointed by Boro at Ewood Park. Won't be the last time, but yeah, it just generally wasn't great. Obviously we lost, but I saw Boro fans at Chorley pre-match, before the Boro game, and they were having a whale of a time. There was a guy wearing a horse mask in the front. I don't know what compels someone to go in a horse mask, but fair play to him. Yeah, Boro fans going to a non-league ground and filling the one of the stands out. That's class to see. So I'm glad that they had a good time, but yeah, I didn't. Bit naff in it.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, you will never, ever see me at Ewood Park again. I've never seen us score at all, and I've been 5 times.
Well, that was your fault for going for a burger instead of, watching the football.
Yeah, it's come back and it's in the back of the net and Forshaw's running back
your
to the half
priorities. Horrific.
I was hungry, it was
should
a late
starve.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, and you'll never see me there, Matt. I'm assuming you were the same. I mean, not a really good day out.
No, you know that meme where the guy's like, "There's nothing to smile about in my life." That was like my day yesterday. Like, nothing to smile about my day. Like, I was running on barely any sleep and drive to Blackburn with just blind hope that this time it's going to be different. And they even decided to score first, put us ahead, and make you think that it might be different actually. And you think, "Oh, great! We really are a different Boro." And then it was just all downhill from there, wasn't it? Yeah, there was nothing else to really say about that other than it was a bit of a shit day. It was a bit of a shit game, and I won't be going to Blackburn anytime soon either. I mean, like Dee, I've seen us win there before. I actually have seen us win there, which is like a badge of honour for a Boro fan. So yeah, I don't know. It's just because it was the first away game of the season. It like reels you in a little bit more, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I've got to go." Like if this was like mid-November, I might have been like, "Nah." But yeah, I am never going to Ewood Park again.
Fair enough. Off the pitch and in the stands, not great. Then on the pitch, give me your assessment.
Yeah, not great. In fairness, at the time, and this is subject to change because usually my opinion does change when I watch the full 90 back, but I didn't think Boro were bad. I actually thought Boro were good in the first half, and I was happy with what I'd seen from us. We got ourselves in front. It was a good goal from Sarmient-goal, took it really well, just put it across the goalkeeper. Loved to see that finish, and brilliant footwork from Morgan Whittaker in the build-up to it. We're in an advantageous position because of that. I thought, right, get in, we've got something to celebrate. I think too many times at Blackburn away, we've not had anything to celebrate. I've been there and seen 2 0-0 draws, which is horrific. But yeah, we got ourselves into the lead. I thought there was a good tempo about us. I thought we controlled the first half. But in the back of my mind at half-time, I was thinking, well, it's only 1-0. And very rarely do you see a game of complete territorial dominance. And there were warning signs in the first half with Blackburn. I mean, Morishita should have had a chance. Luke Canning cleared it off the line. He was free as a bird. He was completely unmarked. And then there was that counter-attack where Johnson plays a ball around the corner for Afolayan, I think it was, in behind. good save from Vitek. It was like there were poor moments in Boro's play, and so the door was always open for Blackburn to get back into that game. Did I think that we would go down with 2 quick-fire goals scored against us in the second half? No, but then you look at them, and honestly, Jonny, what the hell is that defending? What is that defending?
What, for the 2 goals? Yeah, not great. I think when you break it down, probably I think it's a bit of a frustration, because when you get the first corner, they do get on the first corner of the game, comes across, and Boro in a hybrid system, really. So you've got, what a hybrid system means is you manage you mark zones, and you also man mark at the same time. And Boro have like a quite a big advantage in really, because all 11 players are in the box, and when the first ball comes in, Boro managed to get it out for a second corner, but it's really clear on that first initial corner, the aiming towards the back post, and Boro man marking in that area. And you've also got Sarmient-goal man marking Good Johnson, who scores, and Whittaker's marking the short corner on the first corner anyway. The reason why Whittaker and Sarmient-goal are higher than everyone else is just that second phase. So if Boro do get the ball out, your 2 probably arguably quickest players on the pitch are going to run forward, and then you've hopefully got like a 2v2 or a 3v2. But Blackburn have a 4v2 really outside the box. All Boro bodies are in the box, to defend it. And then on the second corner, so when Boro do clear it out and they get the second corner, this is all within 15 seconds. Blackburn decide to back weight the box, really. The ball's still going to go into the same area. It's still going to be an in-swinger. You're still going to float it towards the back post, and you're still going to man mark. The slight difference this time is that Whittaker's having to man mark someone on the edge of the box. Sarmient still marking Good Johnson. You still got that man marking at the back of it. And as much as you want to dissect this goal, it is as simple as Sarmient just loses Good Johnson and he peels off him and heads in the back of the net. Now, in terms of like the setup and things like that, admittedly, I really like hybrid systems, that zonal and man marking. I think it gives you good coverage. And also on top of that as well, you've got a big numerical advantage. You've got all your 11 players in the box, and you've still somehow managed to lose a man and keep him unmarked. And they went and scored the header, really. And it's super frustrating, because I think even on that first corner, you could probably say, well, actually, if you're maybe a Callum Britton or an Arston, or I'm just saying these are defenders, really, it could have been anyone. You could look at that and go, well, actually, there's a big difference here between Sarmient and Good Johnson. Maybe we should kind of switch it around. Will Lankshire's on your front post. Yes, I know he's a big player, and sometimes it's always good to have someone there in case that in-swinger does go towards your near post, and the tech's a little bit out of position. But I don't think you really need him there, especially after that first corner. It's going to go towards the back post. Maybe you put Sarmient on the post, you put Lankshire on Good Johnson, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that he doesn't get round and head it in, really. But that is just being very, very picky. But I think it's those decisions and trying to solve problems on the pitch, which you haven't really seen in the game, to be honest. But to your point on the first half as well, OD, like, I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. As much as the possession that we had, I didn't think we were controlling the game, and I think Blackburn were controlling it out of possession because of the chances that they got from us. It was really clear that they had to give up territory because Boro was so good with ball retention, and the goal that we scored is probably the highlight of the game. But other than that, every pass was a yard away than where it needed to be. I don't think the right pass was made most of the time. And then when Boro work on the transition, like we've seen probably against Lincoln, and it's something that we flagged against Wrexham, that Boro are going to give up quite a lot. And we did. And I think we were fortunate not to go in at halftime like behind, to be honest. I really wasn't happy with it. And the second, I was saying to my dad at home, I was like, we'll get beat here. Which got met with, shut up, Jonny. We're winning 1-0, back in. And then when they got beat 2-1, he went, well, you fucking cursed us. But yeah, it just felt, I didn't think it was a good performance one bit, to be honest. I was really disappointed with it, really frustrated at the end of it. But I think it's just a sign that we haven't really gelled yet. To be honest, I think it's a team that looks like it's made a lot of changes, even in a build-up slightly, but also new players coming in where things aren't really working out. But Matt, I was going to say on Boro's attack yesterday, why do you think Boro's haven't really gelled just yet?
Well, I think it's a couple of things you just listed. I think there's a lot of newness in the team, a lot of new players, bedding into a new system, into a new league, and I think paired with that, there was just a severe lack of quality yesterday. I thought we even throughout the pitch, Miranda, was poor in possession at times, giving the ball away. Pert Harris, although had some good moments, he gave the ball away a few times as well. I thought we did okay to get to the final third, but then in the final third, our quality was just shocking. I mean, the amount of crosses. I mean, to be fair to Blackburn, the good crosses that did go into the box, they defended their box very, very well, and they pretty much headed and cleared everything. But there was just like crosses that were going out of play, snapshots that were going out for a goal kick, a real lack of quality, and we didn't make the goal. We didn't test the goalkeeper enough for all the possession that we had, all the territory that we had. We didn't test him enough, and I think that's probably why there's been quite a overreaction to the result and the performances and a few individual players, just because I think we're in a position where fans are just instantly a little triggered by seeing or worrying about seeing the same traits that we saw last season happening again. And I think that will still happen. I think there'll still be teething issues with this Boro side, and I think it will take us a few weeks and a few games to really gel and get going. So I'm not surprised to see it, but it is still disappointing to see the same old, Boro have all the possession, all the territory. Once again, over 22 shots yesterday, but only 3 on target, which is extremely reminiscent of last season. So, yeah, them little teething problems and traits from last season, I do hope we iron out over time. I'd like to think we will when new players bed in. But yeah, yesterday it was just a mix of, I think that, as well as just really, really bad decision making by some players out there, a real severe lack of quality as well from a lot of our attacking players. So, yeah, I think we'll get better, but it was really disappointing from us in the final third.
You know what disappointed me the most? It's that even when we made the changes, nothing actually really changed. It was kind of much of the same. And this is kind of going to branch off into a wider point that hasn't just come because we lost. I mean, I said it on the season preview. This is not a strong squad. I'm going to plant my flag in the sand right now. This is not a strong squad. It's like, to me, a strong squad is what a parachute payment side has. I think relative to that, it's okay, but it has question marks over it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar game to yesterday more often this season. There's question marks over the fullback areas. I don't just mean the depth. There's question marks, understandably, over Max Alston because he's a new player. Remains to be seen how good and useful he could be. I think there's massive, massive question marks over the midfield depth. Kante, I think, is a good player for certain games when you want to shore things up. You want to just have him sit in front of the back line and then sweep up, intercept, kind of pass the ball along to players that are a little bit more progressive. But how many times is that going to happen? How many times is there going to be a game like that for Boro this season? I think more often you're going to see a game like yesterday where Boro are struggling to break down, well, they're struggling to get optimal goal scoring opportunities, really. And I always feel like if Aidan Morris has the majority of Boro's chances, or not the majority of Boro's chances, but more than 2 shots on goal, Boro are doing something wrong. Because what it means is that we're not getting the ball into those optimal goal scoring positions. The likes of Will Lancashire, who barely had much of an influence on the game yesterday, has to be said. And instead, we're getting the ball to the edge of the box and relying on somebody that in 2 seasons at Middlesbrough, despite being a brilliant player, Aidan Morris has not scored a single goal. And you cannot give him the one at Cardiff away in his first season because it was going off target, wasn't it? It was an own goal. So I always feel like when the ball ends up to Morris that everyone's lambasting, like, shoot, I'm like, no, don't. Please, spare me the inevitable block. But going back onto the squad, like, there's major question marks over the midfield depth. I think there's question marks over Castledine. I'm kind of like, I kind of posed it on the season preview as if he was going to have a big season. He could be a good player, could have a really good campaign for us. He still could, don't get me wrong. This is not me saying he can't. But something that has kind of lingered around me is he had a good season at Huddersfield. He scored 12 goals in 20-something appearances in half a season. That's fantastic. But you take the goals away from Castledine, what is he offering us? That's not me, I don't know, landing on a verdict, by the way. It is simply just a question. And it's a question that we'll probably find the answer to this season. But yeah, the strong areas of the side are probably Morris and the centre-halves, and then Lancashire, Conway, bit of Whittaker. Like the actual team, the starting 11 is fine. The actual squad, I think, has too many question marks in too many positions for me. Because if you take Lancashire out the side, for example, you've got David Strelick. We have constantly had a conversation, and it's not just us that's had this conversation around where does he fit in the side. For me, he's not a 9, neither is he a 10. He's kind of between the both. So if Boro can't facilitate a scenario where David Strelick is in the side and he's performing well and it fits him and suits him, he's not a particularly strong option either. So the drop-off I'd be interested in, but, and I'm probably going to get called negative for this, but I don't think that's a strong squad at all, and I can't actually believe people are pitching us for automatic promotion, because that is not a squad that gets automatic promotion for me. And it's, I will say, just to finish, the transfer window isn't done yet, so we still have things to do, and we will bring in further players. But right now, that squad is not strong for me, and so I think we'll probably, I won't be surprised to see a similar game to that again.
I was going to second that, actually. I really expected our bench to make a difference yesterday. When I was watching previews and listening to Blackburn fans before the game, it sounded like they've got a decent-ish 11, but no squad depth whatsoever, whereas we, have a bench that made an impact in the opening game of the season. And I was thinking after Lincoln, well, if we start a lot of them players who made an impact off the bench against Lincoln, were we gaslit a little bit by the depth we had after that, against Lincoln, because we did bring on Arvston, we did bring on McGree, we did bring on a lot of players who you'd probably expect to start games, like Pert Harris as well. And yeah, a little bit concerning that nothing really changed when we brought them players on. The lack of quality was the same. And I do wonder, is it a slight concern that, we saw it in the opening game, didn't we, that Riley McGree had that unbelievable bit of quality to set up Will Lancashire. I just hope that we don't end up over relying on them sort of individual moments like Riley McGree and Lancashire as the two, because Whittaker is very in and out. As we know, I don't think you can really rely on him to deliver the numbers consistently. He'll sort of have hot and cold spells. Hopefully when Conway gets back, that might help. I do think having a player like Lancashire up front will take the pressure off of Tommy Conway, because last season I think people were very much looking at him as the one who needed to score the goals, whereas I think the pressure's maybe off him a little bit this season to not deliver huge numbers. So I'd like to think we'll be better off when Conway's back in. But I do just hope that we aren't at the top of the pitch relying on just Lancashire and McGree, because if they're not either fit or, like yesterday, Lancashire wasn't really in the game, you're looking around wondering where the quality is going to come from. I know Sarmient took his goal really well, but can we fully rely on him to deliver consistently? I don't know. Castledine as well. I really liked the look of him in pre-season, and then in the opening 2 games of the season, he's been a little bit disappointing, which is a shame. And yeah, you don't know what you're going to get from Joseph or Strelitz over the course of the season. So yeah, it's not like you. I wouldn't say there's like major red flags there, but I said pre-season as well. I appreciate the hype from the neutrals around Boro being top 2, but I'm exactly in the same boat. I don't see it yet. Hopefully we sprinkle the squad with maybe 1 or 2 Premier League loans, and that'll raise the quality a little bit. But I do worry that we just end up relying on certain individual players, a bit like last season, a core squad of only a few, and we do see that game again more often than not. I really hope we don't, and it's just early season teething problems.
Yeah, I would agree with the teething problems point, Matt. I have said, like, on a few occasions, I just think we'll start quite slow this year, quite stuttery. Things are starting to gel together with Hellberg's way of playing, and we talk a lot about relationism and are you getting the right combinations in play, people learning this system, because it is a system-focused team versus a team full of individuals and trying to go for quality. I think as a manager, you always want to try and set up a system that gets the most out of a player and makes them express themselves. And sometimes on the pitch, it is just a bit of magic that can get you out of it. But for me, I'm wondering if you guys have any more red flags in. I know it's very early. It's only 2 games in. Yes, there's a lot of gelling to do. There's a lot of work that we made. There's going to be signings to come. But do you think is there any other red flags that you're looking at and going, oh, maybe I don't like the look of that?
It's just the defending for me. I think that's the big takeout from the game. It was just how open we were on the counter, and it's something that we flagged against Wrexham, didn't we? And so it's not really a surprise, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing. I mean, one of the intriguing points that underpins this is that we have to remember Kim Helberg took over a Rob Edwards side, and I'm loath to give him credit, but he did somewhat fix us defensively. It was kamikaze football at the back under Michael Carrick. It was honestly Benny Hill. And so he sorted that out, and he made us less comedic and just shored us up. And so Kim Helberg took that over. Now it's a season where Kim Helberg has had the pre-season. He's had to really get his claws stuck in and well and truly put his imprint on this Middlesbrough side. Can he find that balance? Can he find the balance between Boro being fluid and creative and good, attacking wise, however you want to interpret that, and also be good at the back? That's the intriguing point. It's a question. It's loads of questions so far, because let's not go to any roaring conclusions. Even though I've just said that the squad's not strong, that's a roaring conclusion. A bit hypocritical, but yeah, can he kind of find that balance? I'd hope so, but I wasn't impressed by Boro defensively whatsoever yesterday, and that's probably the big red flag to take from the game.
Yeah. And probably go on, come back.
No, I was just going to say I agree completely. I've thought that a few times, even in pre-season against Espanyol. They were very good at catching us on the counter. They did it a few times. I think maybe 2 of their 3 goals may have been on transition. I remember one, Morris lost the ball in midfield and they were bang in behind us and they scored. Same against Wrexham. I think it probably gets lost actually last season that because of how good Boro were going forward and the amount of chances we created and the touches we had in the opposition's box, we were still very, very solid under Kim Helberg defensively. Like even after Rob Edwards left, I think we still had, when the season came to a close, in terms of giving up expected goals, we were still by far the best in the league. We had the lowest expected goals against in the league. We were still very solid defensively under Kim Helberg. We just conceded goals we shouldn't have on multiple occasions. Whereas this season, it feels like we are looking a little bit vulnerable. We are giving up a lot of big chances, which feels like a bit of a step backwards from last season. I mean, we should have been. I agree with Jonny. I didn't feel comfortable at all at halftime yesterday. I was, apart from the fact we'd scored, it was a very sort of, I felt like I was in a real false sense of security with us because we should have been behind. We really should have been behind. I mean, at the very least level, Blackburn had so many big chances. One off the line, as we say, 2 saves from VTech. We should have been behind, and a better team could have punished us, and we could have been quite easily behind yesterday. And if you give up that number of big chances against better teams, and you'd expect that we'll come up against a lot of better teams than Blackburn with better individuals, they will punish us. And I don't want to be a team like we were under Michael Carrick, where you feel like Boro have got to score 3 goals to win a game because we likely will concede 1 or 2. I want us to be the Kim Helberg team we were last season, where we didn't give up much at all. We still found ways of conceding, but hopefully with VTech between the sticks we won't. And it'll just take 1 or 2 really good goals and we'll create enough to on average, win more games than we won't. But I'm not confident we'll do that if we give up as many chances as what we did yesterday, because we should have been behind at halftime. And we got exactly what we deserved in the second half when Blackburn did take their 2 chances. It was coming. So, yeah, I think it's maybe forgotten about how good we were defensively under Helberg last season. It does feel like so far, only 2 games in, of course, we do look a lot more open. And that is something we have to shore up before we play much stronger teams than Blackburn.
Yeah, I probably have one more point onto it because I do want to chat about Jeremy Sarmient-goal yesterday, but I think there could be an issue with build-up probably. When we played last year, we were in a 3-1-4-2, and for me, that is what, 3, 4, 8 players in central position. So when the ball did get turned over, you have enough people there to try and compress the space, and you don't get turned over as quick. Now, Boro were good at winning the ball back yesterday, mainly just due to Blackburn hoofing the ball long and was recovering it and trying to win it high. But when we're seeing that 2-4-4 that he's trying to play at the moment, where it's like a box and build up, still like a 3-1 concept or like 4 players and build up. But you've only got 6 players, so you've already lost 2 players in the central areas because you've got 2 wing backs and also you've got 2 wingers who are trying to play a bit more central, but they're still out wide. So it's like you lose 2 bodies, which probably means less control in central areas. So when you do get the ball turned over, there's more space for it to go at. Yesterday we brought in Peter Harris, which would probably add an additional player in there, so you got 7, but it still didn't feel like the control was there. So I'm wondering if like it's probably one for me to do a bit of homework on after the podcast and have a look at it into next week. But I'm wondering if that new build up that we are trying to work in that 2 or like that, that box build up. I wonder if that is potentially an issue that we maybe need to look at going forward. Yeah, because I'm just intrigued to see how we do that. Because that is, again, if we are, I think that's where Boro get caught quite a lot, is if they are in build up and they are trying to play through the thirds, teams can turn us over and we are quite exposed. But I'm wondering if it's because players are more wider than what they were normally and we don't have enough bodies centrally. But I will move on and chat around Jeremy Sarmient or Matt, because a goal yesterday, you've seen something that I've never seen at Ewood Park. And we spoke a little bit about Jeremy Sarmient in the last couple of pods around that. We've been relatively quite impressed with him. Do you think that we're starting to see the player that we were expecting in January?
Yeah, I think there's signs there. I'm not going to get overly carried away just yet, but I was delighted to see him score yesterday, and I do think we've seen signs that he's looking a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more sharper. I was surprised he started yesterday. I thought he maybe would have kept making an impact from the bench, and that might have been the best role for him. But yeah, credit to him. Not only, Jonny, have I seen something you haven't seen, which is Boro score at Blackburn, I've also seen Jeremy Sarmient score for Boro in the flesh, which you haven't seen yet either. But yeah, I think it's
Matt
it's worth
is so much better than you, Jonny.
So much better. Because I don't drink sparkling water. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. How dare you? How dare you?
There's honestly, we talk about red flags. There is a huge list of red flags that Jonny has, which I'm not going to go into. But anyway, and the car he drives. Anyway, yeah, I really liked. I really like seeing Sarmient so far this season. I think there's definitely signs there. I think it's worth remembering whether it was right or wrong. We brought him in January, and I don't think he'd played regularly or he played competitive football for the best part of a year when we brought him in. And if you're expecting a player to come in January mid-season, in the middle of a championship season, in the middle of an automatic promotion campaign, bed into a new team, new teammates, new style, when he's not also played much football, it was probably incredibly naive of anyone to expect him to really do that much towards the back end of last season. I still thought he disappointed and maybe didn't give us as much as he should have. But yeah, the reason we brought him in, I don't know what it was. I don't know if the recruitment team genuinely expected him to have an impact or if it was more about just let him bed in, give him a full pre-season, and this will be now the time for him to kick on. But there's good signs there. He took his goal well. I was delighted for him. And I would love it if he became a really strong option off the bench or starting, who we could come on and help carry the load, because, as I say, I don't want us to be relying on a sort of core group of players. So, yeah, good signs so far. And, yeah, definitely if there was a positive to take out of yesterday, to which there wasn't many, it was that Sarmient took his goal well, and it was a very good goal as well. A very nice worked goal. Milanda's ball through the middle was nice. The layoff to Whittaker, his footwork was fantastic. I didn't appreciate it enough until I saw the replays back from where I was in the away end. Lovely footwork to play Sarmient in, and he's not left-footed, is he? Was that with his weaker foot as well, to put it in the far corner? Yeah, good sign. And if there's more of that to come, then yeah, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, going loco for Jeremy Sarmient. But Denny, you were going loco for Miles Peter Harris last week. Said on a couple of videos that you were really impressed with his performance. It was rewarded with a start. How would you think he did yesterday?
It was okay. That's it, really. I can't say anything more than that. I thought he was okay. There was some good moments, some good bursting runs through the middle. But I think it was a bit of a plague throughout the whole of the Boro team yesterday, that kind of what you said, the quality waned like massively. It was particularly noticeable in the second half, I think, because it was right in front of me. It's difficult to see the other end at Blackburn because it's such a sort of illusion in a way. But yeah, it was all right. I think he's somebody that Boro can really work on, Miles Pitt-Harris, and I'd be intrigued and very excited actually about what he could be this season, I think, because he's that ball carrying profile that Boro do not have, or didn't have, sorry, after the sale of Hayden Hackney. Now, I'm not saying that quality-wise the two are similar, because they're absolutely not. There's no competition, there's no debate. Like, Hayden Hackney has unbelievable quality more than Pitt-Harris does, but still, it's, he's the type of profile that could be worked on. And yeah, but he was all right yesterday. I'm not going to bump it up any further than that.
Yeah,
and defensively, I will say he had a part to play in the second one, wasn't it? So, but that's not his strength, is it? It's not his strength. But then again, it's like simple stuff that should be done, even though it's not your strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the basics. They should be part of your what is it? Probably the best word to say it. Is it vocabulary? Maybe it's like kind of like the. What is it? No, what's the best word to say?
Armory.
Yeah, armory is probably the better word. Yeah, I would say. But I agree with you on Miles Pitt-Harris. I think he's a player that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. The first 10, 15 minutes, I was like, you know what? Yeah, really like it. And then as the game went on, similar that you were saying there, the game just waned away, and the game slipped away from Boro and probably deservedly beat in the end. But I do want to move on and chat around some discussion points, because I think throughout the week you tend to see a lot of narratives come out online, and I think it's quite fun that we address them, because we do get a lot of these questions, and obviously the questions that we don't answer, we'll now do a TikTok reel and video about it. By the way, then a really crisp video the other day, and I was really impressed by that. It was so crisp, I thought Gary Lineker was going to walk in and just sit there because it was that good. Shit jokes, Jonny, shut up and move on. So I think one of the discussion points is probably around Morgan Whittaker, because I think if you were online, you would see probably a lot of the criticism that he does get. He's at a point now where I think that, you know what, anything could happen. Someone could walk in and burgle your house and you'd still somehow find a way to blame Morgan Whittaker at this point. But God, I think you got a laugh there from that, thank you. But my question is, and around this discussion point is, are fans being too harsh on Morgan Whittaker? Who would like to address this first, and then fucking jump in?
It's basically like feeding one of us to the wolves here, isn't it? You know what? I'll take it, whatever. Yeah, I think I would kind of answer this with a question, which may be a bit of a cop-out, but my question would be, if you're listening to this, have you simply just made your mind up about Morgan Whittaker to the point where you know it's kind of just done and dusted? You've wiped your hands with him, you've decided he's shy, and that's kind of it? Because I actually thought he was one of Boro's better players yesterday. He obviously set up the goal for Jeremy Sarmient-goal with some really good footwork. He put some good balls into the box in the second half. There was one of a particular note that he didn't get anything from anyone, and he also played a lovely reverse ball into Sebastian Berhalter, which was then the ball that was played to Will Lancashire for that contention. I mean, it wasn't contentious, it was a coming together. I've seen it back. That was a potential opening there that was basically created through Morgan Whittaker's creative passing. So I've been someone that I was there. I was that person that made their mind up about Whittaker, and there was no room for like non-criticism. There was no room for any compliments or anything like that, or any praise really. But I think I actually think he's been okay this year. It doesn't go without his mixed moments where he can be shrugged off the ball a bit too easily sometimes. I would like him to be a little bit more, I don't really know what the word is, but just be a little bit stronger in the duels, be a bit stronger in the dribbles, like just own it, like own that confidence that is definitely within Morgan Whittaker. I think sometimes he just, I don't know, he minimalises himself a little bit in games, but I thought he was one of Boro's better players yesterday, but yeah, all I heard around me was he's shy, get him off. It's like there were worse players on the pitch than Morgan Whittaker. So it's, yeah, I kind of end again by asking the question of people simply just made their mind up about him to the point where they don't open up a different perspective. That would kind of be my intriguing query about it.
Yeah, I second that. There's absolutely reasons to be frustrated by him at times. I'm not going to pretend there isn't. But there's also a lot of good stuff he does that I just think gets overlooked because fans are maybe just focused on what he can't do rather than what he can do. I know you've got a good point, Jonny, on sort of, what fans want him to be versus what he is. I'm not going to pretend, having a player as hot and cold as Morgan Whittaker is frustrating, but 21 goal contributions last season, I think it was the best in the team. I think a fit, firing and confident Morgan Whittaker is a really good player to have. Whether he's in that vein of form and confidence right now, I'm not too sure. But he was by far nowhere near the worst player on that pitch yesterday. And I think what I've observed is I think he gets overly criticised for things that other players do as well. But when they do it, no one bats an eyelid. He loses out in a duel and there's an uproar in the stands that he's not strong enough, he's rubbish, get him off. But I think if that was to happen to Aidan Morris, who, profile-wise is a stronger player, who you'd expect to win more duels than Morgan Whittaker, if Morris loses out, I don't think there's anywhere near as much of a reaction. And I think, it's the same for a couple of other players. I think there's plenty of players in that team, if they were to do the same things that Morgan Whittaker does, wherever he gets tackled, he misplaces a pass, he loses a duel, I don't think they get as criticised as heavily as what he does. Doesn't mean that he shouldn't be criticised, but I think he is criticised more compared to other players in the team, and that alludes back to your point, Dion. I think fans have just made their mind up on him, and they're almost waiting for him to trip up and make a mistake so they can, go in on him. So yeah, he absolutely has. There's justification to criticise him at times, and I would like more from him as well. I think there is more from Morgan Whittaker that he doesn't show, but I also do think he is treated overly harshly, and because he's a confidence player, I think that gets on top of him, and the fan reaction gets on top of him. Therefore, he probably goes into his shell a bit more, makes more mistakes. So the fans get on top of him more, and then it's a vicious circle and cycle, which I think doesn't help anybody. So, yeah, I just hope we see a confident Morgan Whittaker scoring goals again, because I think he's a real asset to the team when he is up for it and he is feeling confident.
Yeah, and look, I would kind of agree with your point as well. I think I do think he's probably harshly treated, I would say. And I think there's a number of reasons as to why Whittaker is sometimes treated the way he is. And I think one of them comes from the ideation of what we want Whittaker to be rather than what he is. It comes back to Ben Doak, and when Ben Doak was at the club, he was a player that I think Boro fans absolutely loved, because our idea of a right midfielder, or Boro fans' idea of a right midfielder, is someone who can take a man on, whip the ball in the box, and create a chance. And Ben Doak does that so well, right? He does it so well, and he's a really good talent. Morgan Whittaker is probably not that player who takes man on, whips the ball in the box, and goes from there. He does it to some extent, but the way that he plays is a little bit different. He doesn't go on the outside; he goes on the inside every time, and we use our wing backs to create those chances. A Callum Britton or a Max Aston, who can do both in and out, can whip the ball into the box, or we'll try and bring a ball back and whip it in that way. But I think if you want a right midfielder to be physical, can take a man on, and excellent out of possession, Whittaker probably isn't that profile for it. I think Morgan Whittaker is what I would consider a luxury player, where you try and disregard some of the out of possession stuff, but you know the in possession things will overweigh the out of possession stuff, and every team has them. Even if you're from Sunday League all the way up to the top of the Premier League, you do have luxury players who you can kind of give the benefit of the doubt of. But when things don't go well, they're the first player to be mentioned straight away because they aren't someone who is going to run back and 2-foot someone and put them in the stand. I just don't think that's his game. What I think Whittaker is, and in the analogy, I've said it before, but I think it is putting ice cream on a pizza. I love a pizza. I love ice cream. Put them on together, it just doesn't work. And I think there's like a gelling issue with Boro fans and Whittaker where they just don't really align, really. They never have. And I think it's been so difficult for him just to get up to speed. And he came in the January where, Boro were on the downturn under Michael Carrick and we weren't particularly great in that second half of the season. He's come under Rob Edwards and started to maybe get a little bit better and went on a really good run when Rob left. And you were like, okay, yeah, great, perfect. And then again, I think it's just now like he's just such a hot and cold player that like I think anything that he does is just deemed as a negative. He scored probably one of the best free kicks I think I've ever seen at the Riverside. And I bet you no one would ever mention it because I just don't think it's seemed as a.
Nearly scored one last week as well against Lincoln.
Yeah, scored one last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for me, I think Whittaker, if you were to get the best out of him, right? If I was managing him and it was my team, yes, I would kind of accept that there's going to be some deficiencies out of possession, right? So you've got to try and find a solution to that. But actually, I would say against Lincoln, he was winning the ball back quite a lot. Even though there was some times he did get muscled off.
I think he started the season well.
Yeah, I would agree with that point as well, D. But what I would say is he is a player for me who you need to constantly feed the ball time and time and time again because 60, 70% of the time he's going to create a chance or he's going to do something that opens a team up. And I quite like that percentage versus not giving him the ball at all. So yeah, to the original point for me, I think he is overly criticised. Yes, he has some deficiencies, but I think every Boro player does. I just think they're so magnified now. And I do think out of possession he does get targeted because it's just not a strong point. But it depends what Kim Hellberg wants. If Kim Hellberg is willing to accept that, then I think Boro fans should be kind of willing to accept that too. But yeah, I think he's overly criticised. What do you think, Dee?
It's an interesting discussion, isn't it? I mean, you were talking about he's not really a player that Boro fans align with, and I think the idea of a Boro player, and by this I mean the type of player that Boro fans really resonate with, they really like, despite their quality can be neither here or there, but they'll like them because of their application on the pitch. It is basically somebody that will go in for the tackles, that will run around, chase lost causes, that kind of thing. It's not just a Middlesbrough thing, by the way. It's just a football fan thing. We love to see that, don't we? And I think that's why Tommy Conway, I know Tommy Conway cops a bit of criticism, but when people like Tommy Conway, they love Tommy Conway. And it's because of that part of his game, isn't it? But truly, when I really deep it, I don't think there's a massive difference in quality, footballing quality between Conway and Whittaker. Obviously different players, but level-wise, I don't think there's a big difference. Yet the kind of fan perception on both of them are really quite different. And again, like I say, Conway cops criticism as well, but the people that are in Tommy Conway's corner are well and truly in Tommy Conway's corner. There's not a lot of people in Whittaker's corner, which is an intriguing point to me because I think like you kind of alluded to, that idea of a Boro player that Boro fans align with, it's just not Morgan Whittaker, is it? So yeah, but I'll say I think he's actually started the season well, and that is it goes against the grain. Is there a bit of herd mentality going on where people just see that, my dad is a prime example of this. He just sees whatever's on Facebook and he agrees with it, and I'm like, is that your own opinion, Dad? Or have you just seen people on, I don't know, Smuggies onto a Facebook page posting it? That's also a kind of question. So yeah, my opinion is changing on Whittaker, to be honest. I'm just opening myself up to different perspectives, and I'm just judging from what I've seen rather than what the thoughts that I held last season. So yeah, I think he started the season well.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of the Finnazaz treatment a little bit, hasn't he? I think from
100%.
Yeah, I really liked Finnazaz. I thought
Me
he
too.
was a player. It was completely misunderstood. And all it takes is one like comment to say, "Oh well, he hasn't scored a hat trick against a top 6 team." Like, burn him at dawn. Options. So like, yeah, but I think it's the same thing. Like, it's just the good players, but they just don't resonate. Like, I think an ideal Boro player, and it's absolutely right, there, is someone who is really like physical, off the ball, runs for 90 minutes, right? And 100%, that's absolutely fine. But there's some technical players that people don't really like. Would Middlesbrough fans like a Lionel Messi in the team because he walks around the pitch for 90 minutes and then pulls out a bit of magic? Maybe not. Like, maybe we don't like him. Maybe we would just prefer like 11 soldiers versus like the artists to play like a Tony Mowbray analogy. The soldiers and artists. I think we'd probably rather have 11 soldiers than maybe like 4 artists that are particularly great at
Wasn't Tav the same? Didn't Tav get usually the same sort of, like, there's always one, isn't there? There's always a Boro player, normally in the forward line, who's a bit of a technical player, who always seems to be the one. And I feel like it just sort of the torch gets passed on from one to the next. When one leaves, it gets passed to another.
Yeah,
he's got it from, so Whittaker got it from Azaz, and then after probably Whittaker, probably a Strelic probably get it next year.
Strelic, because Strelic's one of those that I'm already seeing like tentative conversations about, that like he just doesn't look arsed. But I think David Strelic as a person seems quite withdrawn, and that's not a bad thing. Like, some people just aren't as like, Tommy Conway, bless him, is honestly like off his rocker, isn't he? He's such an effervescent personality and really just a funny, fun guy. But other people are just not like that, and it's not a criticism. It's not like, I don't think we should have the conversation around he doesn't look arsed and whatever, because I think that's unfair, that we don't know these players as people, really. But yeah, probably David Strelic that's going to get the baton passed to him next. I can't think of anyone else, really.
Well, yeah. Well, look, I think it's a good question. I think a good question is if you were to draw the perfect Boro player, like, or if you were to build an 11 of perfect Boro players, I'd be very intrigued to see the answers of it. Obviously, everyone's will be different. What people will say, like, around artists, and like Juninho's probably a great example of this. Juninho, technically best to ever do it, probably best to ever do it in a Boro shirt, 100%. But what Juninho was great at as well was out of possession as well, and I think that's why Boro fans just adore him. Even though, yes, he did come back 3 times, but yeah, I think people loved him for that. If you have that artist about you, if you have a bit of the soldier mentality in there as well, I think it's I think it's just a really good attribute to have. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion, I would say, Morgan Whittaker, and I will draw a line under it because there is some questions to answer, and we will go there right now. And it's this time for podcast questions. Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get a chance to ask us a question. You can email us at theboroBreakdown@hotmail.com. You can tweet us at @Boro_breakdown. You can follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, all that kind of fun stuff. And you can ask us a question at any point, at any time, anywhere. And we'll somehow find a way to answer it. Somehow, somewhere, somehow. I don't really know how we'll do it at this point, but we will find a way. I mean, I live in a street where there's loads of cats, so just give it to the cat and... Well, fair enough. Or maybe like a little Zorro sign. Like someone gets like a little light and just shine and see it from my house.
Get on with the questions, you daft idiot.
Anyway, right. Okay, sorry. I will shut up. First one, it's from Josh, and he asks, will poor defending be our downfall this season? What formation suits us best, in your opinion? Matt, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, well, formation wise, I've always liked Boro as a back 4, personally, but I'm open to us adapting to what's best at any particular time. As for poor defending, I mean, so far I would say yes. Like I said earlier, I think we have looked especially open at the back, and we weren't last season, which I think gets overlooked. But I also think there's similar traits that, if they continue, will cost us this season as well. And by that, I'm thinking of, having all the possession, all the touches in the opposition's box you can want, but not creating enough, not scoring enough. I know we've brought Will Lancashire in, among others, and I'm sure we'll bring in more to help with that. And I still think if we supply Will Lancashire with 4 chances on average a game, he'll probably put at least one of them away, but we didn't give him any yesterday. And if that gets nullified, if teams work out a way of marking Will Lancashire out of a game, then we might have a bit of a problem on our hands. So poor defending absolutely will be our downfall if this continues, because as I said earlier, I think better teams would punish us, but I expect us to probably iron that out and solidify that up. I would say I still worry that we will be over-relying on a certain small core group of players and individuals at the top of the pitch, and we might see more games where we have 30 shots and don't score, which I really, really hope doesn't happen, because I don't think I can take another season of that, to be honest. I really, really hope we fix that. And it's the hardest thing in football, isn't it, to fix, putting the ball in the back of the net. So defending's a concern for right now, although I would say over the period of a season, I'm just more concerned we'll see a lot of the tendencies from last season at the top end of the pitch sort of rear their ugly head again.
Yeah, I asked a question against Lincoln to the group chat. I was like, who on this pitch right now, and granted that was that team's starting 11, is going to create for Boro? And honestly, my answer was Callum Britton, and that was it. Because we had Borges in the side, he wasn't going to do that. We had Castledine in instead of McGree. He's more of a... I don't really see him as creative. I'll probably look into Leo Castledine a lot and his time at Huddersfield and stuff, and at Shrewsbury as well, because I'm just intrigued by him as a player. But who's going to create our chances? I think from that team yesterday, you would hope it would be Max Arfston, considering that what we've known of him is that he's more of an attack-minded player. He's definitely not like your standard fullback. He's somebody that's more of like a left winger or a left wing back, like a Ryan Giles, if you will. Callum Britton is still... was obviously playing yesterday, so he's also another one. So the wing backs are quite important. And then who else is going to create the chances? Is Morris? Is Berhalter? I guess Berhalter's, his set pieces. But I just think from those central areas, again, question marks over who's going to be the creative influences on this Middlesbrough side. And as for a formation, what do we think about a back three, about wing backs? Because in terms of Britton and Arfston, I think they suit wing backs, and just a little bit more protectivity in the middle, because it was like 2v2s, and sometimes more than that yesterday, where the advantage was in Blackburn's favour, and we looked a little bit too open. So would a 3 at the back, you have an extra defender there, would that be something that we'll see? Who knows?
Yeah, and look, build up, it's just, I've got to come back to it all the time, but it's like you've still got 4 in build up. It's just how you change it around again. So you can play with 3 defenders, the build up still be the same. If you play with 2 defenders, the build up will still be the same. If you're playing with wing backs higher up, still be the same. I think it's just how do you control that central area, and I think that's probably going to be the answer to all of Boro's problems coming forward. Probably downfalls the big one, but you know what? If you just shoot, you score. So it's simple as that. You're homeless as by So next question is from Wasim, and he says, cling on the hope that today's result is a wake-up call for Hellberg and the recruitment team, that we're still lacking pace and creativity up front. Do you think that how we perform in the loan market could be the difference between success and failure this season? Boro linked with Jack Clark this morning, who did score against the Mackhams yesterday.
That's not happening.
It was a good finish indeed, and I 100% agree. Not happening one bit. Signs tomorrow. What do you think to Asim's question, Dean? What are you going to say?
I don't want to pitch it as high stakes as that, but it's a good point, isn't it, on the loan market? Kieran Scott was on BBC Tees on Thursday talking about how, given that the Premier League started yesterday, now's the time where things start to really kind of unravel and open up for Championship teams to bring in Premier League players on loan. It will be a market that we are no doubt exploring, because I think just to supplement the squad with a few loans, obviously not overbalance it with those, as we saw kind of in the Carrick season where we had like Archer, Ramsey, Stefan, Giles, etc. It would be good to just add certain bits to the squad. I'd be interested. I think it's the promoted teams and how it plays out for them. Like Sakamoto at Coventry was on the bench the other day. He would be someone that I would 100% take. Always seems to do really well against us. So would it be the Jason Ewell effect where he like always does well against us, we sign him and he's absolute shite? Could be, but you know, you're looking at the promoted sides. Is there anyone we could pick up from those teams? Or a little bit like, you know, how Coventry signed Onyeka from Brentford. It's those decent players that have just fallen out of favour. You know, could be a good little just notch up of quality there. We talked about the squad earlier and how I don't think it's strong. That could make it strong.
Good stuff. And then the final question is a bit of an interesting one, maybe like a shout out. But if anyone knows who Isaac is, if you do, there was a female Blackburn supporter looking to speak to you at some point yesterday. So Isaac, you're listening to it. Yeah,
I saw that.
Commiserations. I don't really know what to say to this.
I saw that. She was holding up, for audio listeners, she was holding up a cardboard placard just saying, Isaac from Boro, I am pregnant. So, yeah, plenty of Isaacs all around Middlesbrough questioning their whole existence today.
You know what makes me laugh about the whole sign? It's like, it's not the whole pregnant bit. It is the bit right at the bottom where it just has BRFC. Well, Sean, you know, the BRFC, you know, get up there. Oh dear me. That I always find that quite funny. Where honestly, just put like another bar at the end, and that'll solve all life problems, won't it? Right. Let's move on to the week then, shall we? Because Boro are in action twice. One against Blackburn, against Doncaster Rovers. Sorry, all the Rovers at this point. Yeah, going back in time. During the week in the Carabao Cup, and then we also play against another former Boro player in James Morrison. His team are currently drawing, as I'm recording this, they're drawing 1-1 against Burnley. So probably
you're obsessed
very
with Blackburn. You went to say Blackburn again.
Oh no!
No, you went to say it. You went to say
Blackburn and Burnley. They're not far. You know,
same
not too
place.
Far apart.
Welcome to the Blackburn Breakdown Podcast.
I think it's time we wrap this podcast up, innit? Right, score predictions for the week. Doncaster, West Brom. Dynamo, what are your predictions?
Ooh. For the Doncaster game, be interested for what team will play. I think because I reckon there'll be changes. I don't think it's going to be fluid, swashbuckling stuff. You watch, it'll be about 6-0 now. Well, I'll go for 2-0 Boro against Doncaster, and then against West Brom, 1-0 Boro.
Okay, so double win for the week. Matt, what are you going to go for?
Yeah, I'm going to Doncaster because I'm a madman. I don't know why I'm doing it to myself on a Tuesday night. I think we're going to run it back, and it's going to be 4-0 Doncaster. I'm going to run it back.
I forgot about that game, as if that happened.
Run it back.
Gotta get our revenge.
I bloody hope not. Yeah, it depends on what team we play. I don't know the first thing about Doncaster right now and how they're doing in League One. They might not even be in League One. It might be League Two. I don't know.
Yeah, they drew with Barnsley 0-0 the weekend.
Oh well, definitely beating us 2-0 then. No, I'll go Boro to win 2-1 against Doncaster. And I'm going to keep manifesting a Boro 1-0 win. I said 1-0 against Lincoln. I think I said 1-0 against Blackburn. I'm going to keep manifesting the 1-0 win against West Brom next weekend. I just hope to God another former Boro player doesn't come back to haunt us as a coach, because, yeah, that would be typical, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't think James Morrison watches as much Tony Mowbray'd does, because he is at the Riverside every week. If any chance to be at the Riverside, Mogger is there, and I love that from him. Not when we play them, because he knows everything about the team. He probably knows more than the analysts do at this point. But it's yeah.
Plus, James Morrison does have he has a sparkling musical career on the side as well, Jonny, doesn't he? So
he does, and you just completely ruined my outro there, Matt. But,
you're too predictable.
Yeah, I know. It's just such an open goal every time.
You had a broken strings pun. You had a broken strings pun ready. I know you did.
I really did. But I'm going to not even say it now. So I'm going to go, I think 2-0 against Doncaster and 1-1 against West Brom, I think. And that's it. Guys, thank you very much for joining me, as always. To listen and the viewers, don't forget to subscribe to the Boro Breakdown channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hype the video as well. Get the video pushed out everywhere, so people can listen and watch us. But I'm not saying the pun, Matt. I'm not doing the pun anymore. This has been the Boro Breakdown Podcast, and that was our Boro Matchday chat in a pod. Up the Boro. James Morrison can't play on broken strings.